The land was silent after the battle. Ash and smoke floated in the air, and broken weapons were half buried in the dirt. The mountains around looked empty, but the ground was filled with signs of death. One human walked alone through this wasteland, his boots heavy, his breath slow. He had survived the chaos, but survival gave him no peace. His name was Daniel, a traveler, not a soldier. He had come to this world searching for trade, maybe adventure, maybe answers. But now he found only silence. Then he heard something, a sound, soft but sharp, like metal dragging on stone. He turned his head and followed it. There she was. An alien woman lay on the ground, her skin glowing faint blue, her body covered in chains. Her dark hair was tangled with mud, and her lips barely moved as she breathed. Her eyes were half open, looking at him with pain and fire at the same time. She was more beautiful than anything he had ever seen, and yet she was broken, weak, dying. Daniel froze. Everyone had told him, never touch them, never interfere. Their laws are not our laws. But his heart beat faster, and he could not walk away. He stepped closer, and the woman tried to lift her hand, but the chain pulled her down again. Her voice was a whisper, strange words he did not understand. It sounded like a name, or maybe a curse, maybe a prayer. He knelt beside her. The chains were heavy, dark metal, carved with alien marks that glowed faint red. He touched one, and it burned his skin, but he did not pull away. The alien gasped. Her eyes opened wider, and for a second he saw hope inside them. Daniel pulled harder, his strength against the chains. Bit by bit, the metal loosened, and he freed her hand. Her skin was cold, but alive. She looked at him, her lips trembling. "You chose," she whispered, the words broken, but clear enough for him to understand. Daniel frowned. "Chose what?" "But see, He closed her eyes again, too weak to answer. He lifted her carefully, his jacket over her body to keep her warm. Her breath was faint, but steady. The land around was empty, but Daniel felt eyes on him. The wind carried a strange hum, like voices hidden in the air. He walked, carrying her away from the battlefield, but every step grew heavier. The weight was not only her body, but something else pressing on his soul. Then shadows appeared. Tall figures with glowing staffs stepped out from the mist. Their faces were hidden under long hoods, their eyes bright like fireflies. They circled him slowly, their voices joined in one. "You touched her," they said. "You saved her. The price is chosen." Daniel shook his head. "I only helped. She was dying. I could not leave her." But the figures raised their staffs. The ground shook under his feet. The alien woman opened her eyes again, weak but desperate. Her hand reached to his arm, holding tight. One of the hooded figures pointed and spoke. "Human, by your own hand you accepted our ancient bond. You are her protector now, her husband by law of the stars." Daniel's eyes widened. "Husband? What madness is this? I don't even know her name." But the woman whispered again, this time clear. "My name is Soraya, and you cannot leave now. Your fate and mine are one." The figures stepped back as if their task was done. Daniel stood frozen, Soraya's head resting on his chest. He felt the chains fall away completely, glowing red as they turned to dust. The bond was sealed, though he never asked for it. Above them the clouds cracked with thunder, and a strange light spread across the sky. Daniel realized something in that moment. This was not only about saving one life, he had stepped into a story far greater, a story he did not understand yet, and the price was not freedom, but marriage to an alien widow whose people followed laws. Older than the stars. His heart beat like war drums. He had saved her, yes, but at what cost? The shadows vanished, the air grew silent again. Only Soraya's soft breathing remained, and Daniel's question echoed inside his mind. What had he done? The night was cold on the alien world. Daniel had built a small fire in a broken cave, its walls cracked by war. Soraya, the alien woman, lay on a blanket, her skin still pale blue, her breath heavy but alive. He watched her, not knowing if he had saved her life or ruined his own. Her words from before kept echoing in his mind. "You are my husband now." Daniel shook his head again and again. It made no sense. He had only broken her chains, only carried her away. Why would that mean marriage? Why would strangers in the mist declare him bound forever? He wanted to believe it was only superstition, only alien myth. But deep inside, something told him it was more. He remembered the burning mark when he touched the chain. His skin still tingled, glowing faintly when the firelight touched it. Soraya stirred, opening her eyes slowly. She looked at him, tired yet strong. "You regret helping me," she whispered. Daniel frowned. "I don't regret saving a life, but I don't understand your law." Soraya's lips curved into a sad smile. "Our law is older than your people's first fire, older than your son. A widow must die unless claimed by another. Chains hold her spirit down, and only one who chooses to break them can take her fate as his own. You touched the chains, you burned yourself for me, and so the bond is sealed. Daniel felt his stomach turn. So you mean anyone who frees you is forced to be your husband? Her voice grew sharper, though weak. Not forced, chosen. You could have walked away, you could have left me to the dust, but you stayed, and now you cannot undo it. The fire cracked loudly, and the shadows on the cave wall seemed to move like walking. Hers. Daniel clenched his fists. I didn't know your law. I didn't know the price. Soraya looked into his eyes. Every choice carries a price, human. Even if you do not see it at first, you saved me. Now you carry me, until death, until the stars fall. Her words shook him. Daniel had never believed in destiny, only in action, only in survival. But her people's tradition was not something he could ignore. Already strangers had appeared from the mist. Already the sky had cracked when the bond was made. He felt like he had stepped into a trap set by the universe itself. Outside the cave, strange horns echoed through the night. Soraya sat up, her eyes wide with fear. They are searching for me, she whispered. If they find me weak, they will kill me, and they will kill you too. Daniel grabbed his pack, his heart racing. Who are they? Her answer was soft but heavy. Enemies of my house, hunters who want the last of my bloodline gone. I was not only a widow, Daniel, I was a royal bride, and my husband was murdered in war. Now they want me dead, so no one can claim the right to rule through me. Daniel stared at her in shock. He had not only saved a stranger, he had saved a queen in chains, and by the law of her people, he was now her protector husband. That meant every enemy of her family was now his enemy too. The horns grew louder, closer. Daniel helped her stand, though she stumbled. Her hand clutched his arm tightly, her skin glowing faint blue in the firelight. Your world has no law like ours, but you must learn fast, she said. If you run, they will chase you forever. If you fight as my husband, and that bond gives you rights. Rights even they must respect. But if you deny me, if you leave me now, their law says you are guilty of betrayal, and betrayal is punished with death. Daniel's heart pounded. He looked at her, at the chains now broken, at the strange glow on his own arm. He wanted to shout that it was unfair, that he had not asked for this, but the truth was clear. He was trapped between alien tradition and alien enemies. He could either stand with her or die with nothing. The horns stopped, and silence filled the air. Daniel pulled Soraya close, whispering, "Then we fight. But you need to tell me everything, every secret, every danger. If I am part of this now, I won't walk blind." Soraya looked at him, her eyes shining like cold stars. "You are more human than you know, Daniel. No one else would have chosen chains instead of freedom. But the bond between us is not only law, it is power, and soon you will feel it." She placed her hand over his burned skin, and a spark passed between them. Daniel gasped. His vision flashed with strange lights. He saw battles, voices, fire across the sky, and Soraya's face standing beside him through it all. Then the vision ended, leaving him shaking. "What was that?" he demanded. Soraya whispered softly. "It was the bond. It shows you what may come, and warns you of the price ahead." Outside, footsteps crunched over stone. Shadows moved at the cave mouth. Tall and armed, Soraya's voice grew cold. "They have found us, Daniel. Now you will see what it means to be my husband." The cave trembled as shadows moved across the entrance. Daniel tightened his grip on the alien woman's arm, pulling Soraya behind him. The firelight flickered, and tall figures stepped inside, their armor black, their eyes burning red. They carried blades that hummed with strange energy, weapons from a world Daniel had never seen. One of the warriors spoke in a sharp alien tongue, the words cold like steel. Soraya answered weakly, her voice steady, but soft. Daniel did not understand the language, but he understood the meaning. The warriors had come for her, and they would kill him too. The leader pointed at Daniel, his voice rising. Soraya translated quickly. "He says you are not worthy. He says you are no husband, only a thief who touched what was not his." Daniel stepped forward, his fists clenched. "I didn't steal. I saved her, and I won't let you take her." The alien warriors laughed, a deep, cruel sound. Soraya whispered, "Their law says you must prove yourself. If you cannot, they will strike you down." Daniel's heart pounded. He was only a human traveler, not a fighter, not a king. But if he ran, they would chase him until the stars burned out. If he fought, at least he had a chance. The leader raised his blade, and the others stepped back to watch. It was a duel, one against one. Life or death. Daniel swallowed hard, his mind racing. He had no blade, no armor, nothing but his hands. But then he felt the strange mark glowing on his arm where the chains had burned him. It pulsed with heat, with power, with something not human. The leader charged, his blade cutting through the air. Daniel jumped aside, the weapon missing him by inches. He grabbed a broken stone from the cave floor and swung it hard. The rock smashed into the alien's armor, sparks flying. The warrior staggered, but did not fall. The other aliens shouted, their voices like drums. Soraya's eyes widened. She cried out, "Use the bond, Daniel. Call it, it will answer." Daniel had no idea how, but the mark on his arm blazed. His vision blurred, and suddenly he saw the warrior's next move before it happened. The blade swung down, and Daniel was already moving, catching the strike with the stone and shoving forward. The warrior stumbled again, and this time Daniel punched with all his strength. The mark flared bright blue, and the alien was thrown back across the cave, crashing into the wall. The others gasped, their yes, wide with shock. The leader groaned, his blade falling from his hand. Daniel stood shaking, his breath ragged. He had not just fought, he had won. The alien leader rose to his knees, his head bowed. He spoke in a heavy voice, and Soraya translated. "He says you are not just a man, you are bound, chosen by the law. He cannot deny you now." The other warriors lowered their blades, stepping back with respect. Daniel could hardly believe it. He had survived, but at what cost? Soraya touched his arm, her eyes glowing faint blue. "You felt it, didn't you? The bond gives you strength, shows you what is coming. It makes you more than you were." Daniel nodded slowly, still catching his breath. "I felt it, but it was like fire inside me. I don't know if I can control it." Soraya looked at him with both hope and fear. "You must learn, because this was only the first test. More will come." The warriors left the cave, vanishing into the mist outside. But Daniel knew they would spread the word. Soon every enemy of Soraya's people would know that a human had claimed her, and soon every eye in the galaxy would be on them. As the fire burned low, Daniel sat beside her. He whispered, "I don't understand why this bond chose me. Why I was the one to find you." Soraya's gaze softened. "Perhaps fate, perhaps chance, but our enemies will not care. They will see you as a threat now. They will come for you, they will come for us, because together we are dangerous." Daniel's chest grew heavy. He had never wanted to be part of alien wars, never wanted to be chained to tradition. Yet when he looked at Soraya, weak but beautiful, her eyes shining with both sorrow and strength, he knew he could not turn away. He had saved her life, and now her life was his. For better or worse, he was her protector husband. Outside, lightning split the sky, thunder shaking the ground. The bond mark on Daniel's arm glowed again. This time without warning, a vision flashed before his eyes. He saw armies clashing, ships burning, Soraya screaming his name. And he saw himself standing in the middle of it all, a blade of light in his hand. Then the vision faded, leaving only fear. Soraya noticed his face. "What did you see?" she asked softly. Daniel hesitated, then whispered, "I saw war, and us at the center of it, enemies on every side." The storm outside the cave raged for hours. Rain fell in silver streams across the alien mountains. Lightning cut through the sky, and thunder rolled like drums of war. Inside, Daniel sat close to the fire, Soraya beside him, her eyes glowing softly in the dark. The warmth of the flames touched her face, but the shadows in her gaze never left. Daniel finally broke the silence. "You said you were a royal bride, that your husband was killed, but you never told me the full truth. If I am trapped in this bond, I need to know everything. I need to know what danger follows us." Soraya looked down, her hands shaking as they rested on her lap. For a long time she did not speak, as if the words themselves were chains she feared to break. At last she whispered, "My people were once rulers of 3 systems. Our bloodline carried the right to guide the stars. But envy grows even in the heavens. My husband was a prince, beloved by many, hated by more. When war came, he was betrayed, struck down, not by enemies but by those who swore to protect him." Daniel listened closely, the firelight dancing in his eyes. Soraya's voice grew heavier. "According to our law, a widow of the royal line cannot live without a new protector. The chains you saw were not only iron, they were spirit chains. They bind the soul. Without rescue, I would have died and my bloodline with me. You broke those chains, and now his enemies see you as the shield that protects what they tried to destroy." Daniel rubbed his burned arm where the bond mark glowed faintly. "So I'm not only your husband, I'm the wall between you and an entire galaxy of killers. Soraya nodded slowly, her eyes shimmering with sorrow. You are more than a wall, Daniel. You are the bridge, for the bond does not only protect me, it gives you part of my blood, part of my strength. Daniel frowned. That's why I saw visions, why I could fight when I should have died. Yes, Soraya whispered. The bond shares our spirit, our pain, our power. It is why you survived against the warrior in the cave, but power brings fear, and fear brings war. Now others will come, not only to kill me, but to kill you, because if a human can share the power of my kind, then everything they believe about their traditions is broken. The fire cracked loudly, sending sparks up the stone walls. Daniel leaned back, his voice low. So we are hunted because I refused to walk away, because I chose to care, and now I've become a threat just for being human. Soraya turned her face toward him, her eyes glowing brighter. You call it a mistake, but to me it was salvation. No one else would have touched the chains. No one else would have carried me. Do not regret kindness, Daniel, even if the price is high. He wanted to argue, but the truth in her words cut deep. She was alive because of him, and no matter the law, he could not take that back. Still, the thought of enemies gathering, of ships in the sky, of armies coming closer, made his chest grow heavy. He was only one man, yet now he carried the weight of an alien queen's life. Soraya touched his arm gently. There is more you must know. My enemies are not only warriors, they are deceivers. They will not only strike with blades, they will strike with lies, with temptations, with promises of peace. You must learn to see through their words, or we will be lost. Daniel nodded slowly, the weight of her warning pressing on him like a stone. Outside, the storm began to fade, leaving the land wet and silent. Daniel stepped to the cave mouth, looking out into the night. The stars were sharp and endless, but instead of beauty, he saw danger in every light. Ships could hide there. Armies could gather beyond the horizon, he whispered to himself. Enemies everywhere, and all I have is a bond I don't understand. Soraya joined him, her steps weak but steady. You have more than that, she said softly. You have me, and together the bond makes us something no one has seen before. My people will call you intruder. Your people will call me curse. But the stars themselves may call us destiny. Daniel turned to her, seeing both strength and fragility in her face. He wanted to believe her, but doubt still gnawed at his heart. Destiny doesn't mean safety, he muttered. It just means more battles. Soraya smiled sadly. Then we fight them, husband of chains, and we show them what a human heart can do. The words sank deep into Daniel's chest. He had never thought of himself as more than a wanderer, a man drifting between stars. But now he was tied to a future far larger than he had ever dreamed. A future filled with enemies, filled with secrets, filled with war. As the fire burned low, Daniel lay awake. Visions haunted him again, ships in flames, alien armies shouting his name, Soraya's hand clutching his as the world shook. And through it all, one question echoed in his mind. Had he truly saved a life, or had he doomed them both? The next morning, Daniel and Soraya left the cave. The storm had washed the land clean, but the air carried a heavy silence. Every step felt watched, as if unseen eyes followed their path. Soraya walked beside him, still weak, but her posture had regained a kind of royal grace. They had not gone far, when a group of figures appeared, clad in silver robes, their faces hidden by masks, their staffs glowing with faint blue light. They did not raise weapons, yet their presence pressed against Daniel's chest like a weight. Boss, Araya whispered, they are elders of my people, guardians of the old laws. They come to judge you. One elder stepped forward, his voice echoing like stone across water. Human, you touched the widow's chains. You claimed her fate, but tradition demands proof. No stranger may join our blood without trials. No bond may be honored unless tested by fire. Daniel frowned, his hands tightening into fists. I already fought your warriors. I already bled. How much more proof do you need? The elder's reply was cold and final. You fought enemies, not the law. If you are her protector husband, you must pass our sacred trials. If you fail, both you and she will die. Soraya stepped forward, her voice trembling. Elders, he saved me when no one else would. His courage is already clear. But the elder silenced her with a raised hand. The law is older than mercy, daughter of the stars. He must stand alone. Daniel's chest burned with anger, but when he met Soraya's eyes, he saw both fear and trust. He nodded slowly. Then I'll face your trials, whatever they are. The elders led them across the valley into a place of ruins. Stone pillars rose from the earth like broken teeth, and glowing symbols covered the ground. Here the air was thick, as if history itself breathed in the shadows. The first elder raised his staff, and the ruins came alive with light. "The first trial is of strength," he declared. From the earth, shapes began to rise, stone warriors carved by the bond's power, their eyes burning white. Daniel swallowed hard, his body tense. He had no weapons, but the bond mark glowed again, pulsing like a heartbeat. The stone warriors rushed him, their fists heavy as thunder. Daniel moved fast, ducking, striking, using the bond to feel their attacks before they landed. He smashed one apart with a single blow, the pieces falling into dust. The others followed, but with every strike, Daniel grew faster, stronger. At last the ground shook, and the warriors crumbled into silence. The elders lowered their staffs. "The trial of strength is past," one said, his tone neither warm nor cruel, only certain. The second elder lifted his staff. "The next trial is of mind." The ground shimmered, and suddenly Daniel stood not in the ruins but in a field of mirrors. Each reflection showed him twisted versions of himself. Coward, traitor, murderer, king. Voices whispered from every reflection, calling him weak, telling him to abandon Soraya. He clutched his head, the noise tearing into him. But then he heard Soraya's real voice faint in the distance. "You chose chains for me, Daniel. Do not let them break you." Her words cut through the storm of lies, and Daniel smashed the mirrors one by one. When the last broke, the vision faded, and he was back among the ruins. The elders spoke as one. "The trial of mind is past." The third elder raised his staff, his voice heavy. "The final trial is of heart." Before Daniel appeared an image, so real he almost believed it. It was Earth, his home, the sky blue, the air clean, his family alive and smiling. He heard laughter, smelled bread, felt warmth. The elder's voice whispered, "You can return, human. Abandon the widow, abandon the bond, and all this will be yours again." Daniel's eyes burned, his chest aching with longing. But then he looked back at Soraya, standing weak yet proud, chains gone but shadows still haunting her. He clenched his fists and shouted, "No, I will not trade her life for a dream. I chose to save her, and I will not betray that choice." The vision of Earth shattered into ash, leaving only the ruins once more. The elders lowered their staffs together, their eyes glowing faint. "The trial of heart is past," they said. The ruins fell silent, the glowing marks on the ground fading. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the first elder turned to Soraya. "Your husband is accepted, his bond is true, the law honors him now." Soraya rushed to Daniel, her eyes filled with relief. "You did it. You proved them wrong. You proved us both." Daniel breathed heavily, sweat on his brow, his arms trembling from the trials. "I didn't do it for them. I did it for you," he whispered. Soraya's eyes softened, her hand touching his face. "And that is why you succeeded, Daniel, because your heart is stronger than their law." But even as the moment of victory warmed them, Daniel's vision blurred once more. The bond mark blazed, and another vision struck him. He saw fleets of ships, alien fire raining across worlds. He saw Soraya weeping in his arms, and himself standing before a throne of broken stone. When the vision ended, he gasped for breath, fear cutting through him like a knife. Soraya looked at him, concern deep in her gaze. "What did you see, Daniel?" He swallowed hard, his voice low. "I saw war, and something even worse, and I don't know if I can stop it." The valley lay quiet after the trials. The elders had gone, fading back into the mist, leaving Daniel and Soraya alone among the ruins. The silence felt heavy, but Daniel knew peace would not last. He could feel it in the bond mark burning faintly on his arm, the warning of storms yet to come. That night they camped beneath broken pillars, the stars stretched endless above, sharp and bright like blades. Soraya sat close to the fire, her face glowing with the light, her voice low. "The trials gave you honor in the eyes of my people, but honor will not stop what is coming. Our enemies will gather now, not only hunters but armies, and when they march, they will not only come for me, they will come for you, because of the bond." Daniel stared into the flames, his jaw tight. "I'm just one man, Soraya. I didn't come here to fight a war. I came looking for answers, for trade, for survival. Now the whole galaxy is after us. How can we stand against that?" Soraya's gaze did not waver. "You are not just one man anymore, Daniel. The bond made you more. It gave you part of me, and together we are stronger than either of us alone." Before Daniel could answer, the night sky cracked with sound. A low thunder rolled, not from storm clouds, but from engines. He looked up and saw them, ships, dark and sharp, sliding through the heavens. They glowed with red light, moving in formation like predators circling prey. Soraya's face went pale. "Them," she whispered. "The Valar fleet. They served the traitors who killed my husband, and now they come to finish me." The ships descended in silence, and then beams of light cut through the valley, scanning the ground. Daniel grabbed Soraya's hand, pulling her toward the shadows of the ruins. "Move," he hissed, "before they see us." They ran, ducking between stone pillars as beams swept across the earth. The air hummed with the sound of machines, and the ground shook with the landing of dropships. The war had come, and it had come faster than Daniel feared. From the nearest ship, armored soldiers poured out, their armor black, their weapons glowing crimson. They spread across the valley with precision, hunting, searching. Daniel and Soraya hid behind a fallen wall, breath short, hearts pounding. Daniel whispered, "We can't fight an army, not like this." Soraya's eyes were fierce even in fear. "We must flee to the mountains. There are places they cannot follow." "But Daniel, listen. Your people, the humans, they may not accept me. They may see me as danger. If you return to them with me, they will turn against you too." Her words cut deep. Daniel thought of Earth, of his own people. Would they welcome him if he brought an alien queen bound by strange marriage? Or would they call him traitor, curse him as enemy? His chest felt heavy, torn between two worlds. Before he could answer, shouts rang through the valley. A squad of Valar soldiers spotted them, weapons raised, beams of red light slicing through the ruins. Daniel pushed Soraya down, rolling behind the wall as stone shattered above them. The bond mark burned, his vision flaring with warning. He saw their next moves before they made them. He leapt up, grabbing a fallen staff from the ground. With the bond's strength, he swung it, striking a soldier and sending him crashing against the pillar. The others fired, but Daniel was already moving, pulling Soraya away. The fight was chaos, flashes of light, screams, the air thick with heat. Daniel's muscles burned, but the bond carried him, guiding his steps, guiding his strikes. At last they reached the shadow of the mountains. The soldiers behind them cursed in alien tongue, but did not follow. Soraya gasped for breath, her face pale. "They fear the mountains," she whispered. "Old power lives there, power even they will not touch." Daniel leaned against a rock, his chest heaving. He looked back at the valley, now swarming with Valar soldiers, ships landing, fires burning. It was no longer a hunt. It was an invasion. He muttered, "This isn't just about you anymore, Soraya. They'll burn whole worlds to stop us. And when humans learn about this bond, about what I can do, they'll see me as a weapon too." Soraya touched his arm, her voice soft but sharp. "Then you must choose, Daniel. Will you stand with me and face them? Or will you run back to your people and let me die? If you stay, the bond may grow, strong enough to change everything. But if you leave, the bond will shatter, and Vijaya, you will both be hunted until the end." Daniel closed his eyes, his heart pounding with the weight of her words. He had never wanted greatness, never wanted destiny. But now destiny had found him, chained to his choice, chained to her. He opened his eyes and met her gaze. "I won't leave you, Soraya. Whatever comes, we face it together." Soraya's eyes softened, but also darkened with sorrow. "Then prepare yourself, Daniel, for together means war, and the war has already begun." Above the mountains, more ships moved across the sky, their lights burning red against the stars. The rising war had come, and Daniel knew there was no turning back. The mountains rose like black teeth against the night sky. Daniel and Soraya climbed higher, the path sharp and broken, their bodies weary but their hearts burning with resolve. Behind them, the valley glowed red with the lights of the Valar fleet. The war had come, and the galaxy was watching. At the mountain peak, they found ruins older than any city, stone arches carved with symbols that glowed faint blue in the starlight. Soraya's eyes widened, her voice trembling. "These are sacred grounds, places where the first bonds were born. Here, the power of the bond will show itself fully." Before Daniel could answer, the sky split with fire. Dozens of ships descended, their weapons glowing, their armies pouring down like rivers of steel. The ground shook, the air burned, and the war had arrived on the mountain. Daniel pulled Soraya close, his voice low. "We can't run anymore, not from this." She nodded, her eyes fierce despite her weakness. "Then we fight, husband of chains, and we make them see why the bond cannot be broken." The first wave of soldiers charged, their weapons cutting red light across the ruins. Daniel felt the bond blaze through his arm, visions flooding his mind. He saw their strikes before they landed. He moved. Like water, fast and unyielding. With every swing of his stolen blade, enemies fell, the ground littered with sparks and ash. Soraya raised her hands, her body glowing with blue light. The chains that once bound her now became weapons of spirit, wrapping around foes, shattering armor. Together they fought as one, her power flowing into him, his strength protecting her. The bond was no longer a curse, it was fire. It was storm, it was life itself. But the enemy did not stop. Wave after wave came, and still they climbed higher. At last the ground shook again, and a massive figure appeared. A warlord clad in black armor, taller than any human, his voice a roar of thunder. "You are nothing, human. A thief who took what was not his. I will break your bond and scatter your ashes across the stars." Daniel stepped forward, his blade glowing with Soraya's power. "I didn't steal her, I saved her, and now I'll fight for her, no matter the cost." The warlord struck, his weapon a hammer of pure energy. The ground split, mountains trembled, but Daniel met him strike for strike. The bond guided him, Soraya's light shielding his body. Every blow was fire, every clash a storm. The battle raged until the warlord raised his weapon high for a final strike. Daniel saw the vision before it came. If he blocked, he would fall. If he dodged, Soraya would die. There was only one choice. He shouted her name and stepped into the strike. The hammer crashed against him, pain like lightning burning through his body. But the bond flared, blazing brighter than the stars. The power of two souls merged into one, and Daniel struck back. His blade cut through the warlord's armor, shattering it, the giant falling in thunder and smoke. The battlefield fell silent, the soldiers freezing in shock. Soraya rushed to Daniel, her hands trembling. "You're hurt. You gave too much." Daniel smiled weakly, blood on his lips. "I promised I wouldn't leave you, remember, even if it cost me everything." Soraya's tears glowed like silver. In the starlight, she pressed her forehead to his, her voice breaking. "The bond saved us both, Daniel, but it demands a price, and that price may be more than life itself." From the ruins, the elders' voices rose, though their forms were unseen. "The war is won, the traitor's army broken, but the bond has marked you, human. You are no longer only of Earth, nor only of her people. You are both, and because of this, the galaxy will fear you." Daniel forced himself to stand, his arm blazing with light. He looked across the battlefield, the soldiers retreating, the ships fleeing into the sky. The war was not truly ended, it was only beginning, but in that moment, he had won. He turned to Soraya, his voice firm despite the pain. "Then let them fear us, because together we'll survive, together we'll fight, and together we'll change everything." Soraya's hand slid into his, their bond glowing brighter than the fire of the stars. She whispered softly, "Our marriage was law, but now it is love, and love is stronger than fear." Above them, the night sky trembled as if the universe itself was listening. Ships fled into the void, armies scattered, and the mountains stood silent again. But far beyond the stars, greater forces were watching. The bond of human and alien had awakened something dangerous, something powerful, and the galaxy would never be the same. The price was heavy, the road ahead uncertain, but Daniel and Soraya stood together, husband and bride, bound by choice, by law, and by love. And in their joined hands burned the fire of survival, the fire of a new legend, the fire of humanity's place among the stars.